Hi, I'm Richie Mackay.
And I'm Davey Bolt, and you are listening to the Wrongbias podcast.
And on show 62 of the Wrongbias podcast, Stadler and Waldorf, Morecambe and Wise, Hinge and Brackett, Little and Large, or should we say large and larger? Yep, it's just the two of us having a bit of a chin wag. As always, many thanks to the sponsors of the podcast, Bowleswear Direct, Rent and Wealth Management, pentlandprecast.co.uk, and of course our pocket rocket, Miss Jacqueline Henderson. We hope you enjoy the show, and as always, many thanks for your support. And welcome everybody to show 62 of the Wrongbias podcast. In wedding years, it's known as the Ivory Anniversary, and apparently it can symbolise tranquility and clarity, mate.
Lovely.
So I'll be tranquility, you can be clarity, because you always pulling me up for all the bollocks that I drop. So how are you, mate? How have you seasoned outdoors? Have you enjoyed this Betty Swallock's weather?
It's been a good one, man, isn't it? We always say every outdoor season we crave a year like this, and typical Brits like we're still twisting and mourning because it's our warm now. Only frustration for me, mate, is the period of hot weather that we've had. You'd expect every single grain to be flying, and they're still not. Season as a whole, mate, I've had a very pick and choose season. Yeah. I've had a lot of years where I've played for the club, and I think I've only played one game for the club this year, and it's not for the fact that I not want to support the club. It's just we're in a comfortable position now where we've got a lot of members, and the way I look at it is I'd rather a member be playing for the club than me turning up in sufferance, if that makes sense. I like my free time. I like to play the games that I want to play. I think my games suffered a little bit for it outdoors. I've got to admit, I don't feel as if I've been as sharp as when you're playing those bread and butter games and just keeping your arm ticking over.
You can get away with it outdoors more than
outdoors
you can you? Indoors you can. You found out straight away indoors.
Definitely,
The game's gone indoors. In the first 5 ends, you might as well shake hands and come off. Outdoors, you can plough them up the middle.
Well, that's all it is, to be fair. If it's the choice between that and the balance of just being sort of happy with me sort of life around balls, then I'll take that all day long at the minute. It's probably, for me, it's a choice. I've seriously thought this year as to whether this is going to be my last outdoor season, but I've decided to enter again.
Just pick and choose, isn't it?
Yeah, well, that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm literally, and I'll speak to my club about it, because at the end of the day, I don't want to be just one of these players who's a member of the club, and it's either I don't play at all or I play the games I want to play, and that'll be it. And I'll show my face once in a blue moon. But overall, yeah, down at Leamington in the pairs and fours, so not the worst season, mate.
Not bad at all. I mean, you know, I love outdoors, but my patience has been well and truly tested this season with the greens, mate. Like you say, the weather we've had, and now the greens it'll be up in northeast. It's just even the so-called good greens have been poor up here. They've been really poor, and I know that the council greens and what have you. And at the end of the day, we always say it's outdoor balls. Just get on with it. Yeah, my patience has been tested this year, mate.
I've always gone with the premise of it's not easy outdoors. We know it's not. It's not indoors. You're not going to get perfection and all of that. And I think over the years, you've just got to roll with the punches. But it's something different to that. It's like sapping the enjoyment out of the game, because there's just no art or form to it. You know what I mean? It's like you can bowl something that gets within 4 or 5 inches, and your next ball can be 5 foot away, and it's you're scratching your head and going, just because you're launching, that's all you're doing.
Yeah. I mean, how many times can you honestly say that you've seen a ball run on? You know, it's like hitting quicksand. You're holding it, and they're just knee running the balls, and you just But
I saw a video on Facebook a couple of nights ago, but he put on saying our greens like glass at the minute. Showed a couple of ends, and they were literally just dropping them out of the hands and rolling, masses of green, and you just think, for the weather we've had this year, that's where we should be. If it's tricky for everybody and it's quick, then like we've said, that's outdoor balls. But I'd far rather it be tricky and not struggling to put a ball within a yard than launching with two balls of green as hard as you can and hoping it stops or reaches or whatever, So,
well, there's been plenty going on since our last one in June, mate. The big news. The Scottish International Open draw.
oh, for Christ's sake, massive news.
Did you watch it or did you find out?
Oh, I found out.
Did you? Well, I had to watch it again because I couldn't access myself. No, never again.
And do you know what it is? I'm not even going to say it's frustrating because at the end of the day, we've said this time and time and time again. You've got to go there, and I'm not going there to lose.
Yeah.
You've got to beat who's in front of you. He's just probably not the person you didn't want to be playing up with West Lothian in the first round. You know what I mean?
This mightn't sound good, but I think your balls are stuck next to Stewie Anderson in the draw. Because if you watch the draw back when it came out, because Wayne did the draw with Aaron. If you watch it back, once the penny dropped with Wayne, he had a right smile to himself.
If my balls are stuck to Stewie's, I'll be taking some Imperial leather up and telling him to wash them next time I see him because I'm sick of death of coming out with him. I enjoy my games against him. You love playing the games against the best.
That's right.
It's just
You'd like to play somebody else.
Well, yes and no. That saying I'd rather draw somebody else would make it
a different face.
Would make it demeaning to the other 15 who's in the top 16, and there's no easy games.
No.
It's just Stewie is probably the one you didn't want to get at West Lothian because he's so good. Yeah. I think obviously it's only Aaron who's beat him up there in the last 2-3 years.
Yes.
Yeah, it's one of those, and like I say, I sort of rolled my eyes and I was like, here we go again. But then exactly what I've just said there, I'm trying to put things in place for the indoor season. You know yourself, I've dropped the weight, trying to get myself into a better physical sort of position for indoors because I know it does benefit my game, and I'll be putting everything in, mate. I know if I produce my game, I can run them close. It's one of those things, mate. I'm not frustrated, I'm not annoyed or anything like that because it is what it is.
Gives you another crack at it, mate, doesn't it? Give another crack at it.
It does, and me focus is that, and then you've obviously got the tour card coming up. That's a massive thing. If you get the 3 chances, and I want to, again, I'd love to try and qualify for the Worlds again. So I'll just take each game as it comes again, mate. And like you see, you know yourself with me now, mate. I'm sort of quite laid back about the whole thing now. I want to win as much as anybody, but if I didn't, I'll be back in the car and on my way home straight after. So it happens, as they say.
Well, the defending champion Jason Banks takes on Aussie qualifier Mark Simpson, and it takes place on October 21st to 23rd at West Lothian, and tickets are still on sale with hospitality packages. I think might be still knocking around. We did touch on this on the last one, but the new improved sponsorship deal for the WBT will see a return of the UK Open, the PBA Tour card, and a new Masters event, which has just been confirmed as an over 55s, plus a para challenge alongside the Scottish Open, World Singles, World Pairs, Ladies Match Play. So from going from just the gloom and doom of just one event now, we've got shed loads to look forward to. As chairman of the PBA, mate, you must be delighted the way it's gone.
Do you know something? I've got to give huge praise to Gordon Woods. He's done phenomenal work during what's an unsettled period, and a lot of things going on. Obviously, the changes and the new sponsorship and things like that, and not discounting those who help them and they know who they are. Gordon has put a lot of time in, and if people can't see progress of where we're at now with these new things coming in, then they never ever will. And if there's still whinges and complaints out there, which there will be, as we always say correctly all season, unless somebody has a twist in the morning and thinks something should be done better, those who've got savvy, those who know the score, it is going massively in the right direction. We've got great opportunities now to again potentially attract more sponsors for the future or do bigger and better things, because the more and more exposure that we're getting can only be good. The UK Open is going to a great club. One of my development officers has got really good experience with and worked with the club, and they're a fantastic accommodating club. So that'll be a fantastic event, I'm pretty sure. And the tour card gives 2 people, I think it might be, I don't know how many tour cards there's going to be. That is, we've called it in the past, you call it the golden ticket. The days of the closed shop, as it was always known, is now becoming more and more open all the time. And we're seeing it in, we've had him on the show last show. Aaron breaks in a season, when would that have happened 5-6 years ago? Never ever. So it's moving. The tour cards are a big thing. It gives you 3 chances, and if you don't take any of those chances, then that's not down to the top 16. That's down to the individual. So all good, mate. All good.
The tour card's actually a good reward for the people who support the PBA because they can rack up the points, which I'm guessing that's how the tour card works.
I might be wrong, but I think the tour card will be based on 1 to 32 of the European ranking. So I think it'll probably work. Again, this is totally me
guessing.
Guessing and a little bit of thinking about what's been discussed, but I'm thinking it probably works out something like 1 plays 32, 31 plays 2.
Right.
So it potentially gets to the 1v2 potential outcome, which probably isn't going to happen because we know that the European rankings is, it's just full of some really, really top players, and the points, don't necessarily justify the player. It's about the consistency over a period of time. So yeah, I think it'll be fantastic. And it's for all, it's like not a qualifier for those outside of that top 32. It's another incentive for people to go. The better I do in the qualifiers, yes, I might get beaten a quarter final. Yes, I might get beaten a semi final. It's frustrating. However, those points that I've gotten that season probably gets me into the tour card for the following season. Yeah. And it does what I've always wanted it to do, which is that it gives those people who are consistently performing in the qualifiers that opportunity, which I think is really important because there hasn't been that. It's you might get your top 1 or 2 sneak into a competition if a country doesn't turn up or whatever. This sort of rewards those people who are back in the PBAs and performing. So yeah, it should be really good, I think.
And of course, the only thing that was probably missing was an under 25s event, but that's now been penciled in to run alongside the Scottish Open in 2026.
Absolutely. And again, Rich, it's always the initial backlash. It's like, oh, they've taken this away. It's disgusting. They're ruining the game. The future's the juniors and all this. Christ, there's reasons that, it's people who's there are not there to hold the sport back. We want, as much as anything, for that sport, our sport, to grow, to be the best it possibly could be. And in 10 years' time, if you could potentially make a living out of it, fantastic. There's reasons for things happening, and that's not just at WBT level, at PBA level. This is a governing body. There's reasons things happen, and it's not done for the detriment of the sport. And it's like, the first reaction is always, oh, they're killing our sport. It's a lot of blah, 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 blah.
Well, I had a laugh because the over 55s won, and there was a few comments on great. And there's one fella put on, what a joke of an event. So I just typed on, I said, well, simple answer is didn't end. He typed, I won't. I said, why criticise something when you're not going to get in it?
Yeah, it's because people just love to whinge.
Yeah,
that's the simple fact. It's like they don't sort of evaluate and think, oh, I wonder why that's happening. Yeah. Blah, blah, blah. It's like just straight in there. You're killing our sport. It's a joke. It's
now to promote the game. Should be done away with. A lot of us should be done away with.
And that's the sad part, mate. Unfortunately, it's the ones who actually are trying to do the good for the sport end up being the villains in some people's eyes. And it's like, Christ, get off your backside and do something yourself then. And
just look in the mirror. Look in the mirror. Ask yourself the question, what do I do to promote this sport? And if you can answer it, fair dues. If you can't, there you go. Yeah. Anyway, big thanks to the PBA for letting us loose again on the streaming this year. We'll be covering 19 days of qualifying events on the road for about six weekends on the spin, which will be terrific. A couple of new faces on the PBA Magic Carpet. Ian Johnson, Treasurer's Role, and Gillian Hinsley. Best of luck to both. And Mr. Parkinson is in as the players rep, and I can see him calling them all out, mate. They'll be all out on strike with Jason.
At the end of the day, mate, he's there as a representative for the players. There needs to be a voice from the players. There's always been criticism of the fact that through volunteering, those who are involved in the PBA is also involved in the WBT because they work hand in hand with each other. Let's not get onto the conversation about it should all be one body, because at the end of the day, we'll be on all day. But by the by, there needs to be a voice for your members. I've been staunch PBA for many a year, and in my position, I've held my hands up and turned around and said, I'm going to take myself out of this equation and not vote or not have a say in what's going on here, because I see it as a conflict of interest.
Yeah.
If it involves me as a player, the position I've got, I probably have restricted myself from maybe getting a a wild card or anything like that in the future? Because if I did, you can imagine.
Oh, yeah, favouritism. Blue-eyed boy.
Yeah. It wouldn't be nothing to do with the fact of me record in the PBAs.
Oh, no, you wouldn't be the fact that you were top.
At the end of the day, I've taken myself out of those equations because I think it's only fair that, there's a balanced view and there's balanced answers on there. And Jason coming in can ask the questions of the members, get the answers, feed back to them, and then hopefully, we can move on without continued criticism and trying to do the best for the sport. And that's all we can do. That's all we want to do. That's the key to it.
There was more good news for two former guests. Ranked number one in the so-called World Bowl Series, Jason Banks and Emily Kernick. Tremendous. Nicole Rogers is at 10, Wales Ross Owen 4th in the men's, Hughie Anderson 7th, Ian McLean 8th, Ireland's Gary Kelly 9th. And those who are wondering what's all that about, well, the top 12 ranked men and women will head down under the New South Wales Club Barham venue for the first World Bowl Series finale in December. And the cut-off date is the Halloween to get your points.
Does that mean I've got to try and get off that 57th page to get there?
You do, mate. You do. You've got to try to climb from 232,053 up rapidly, mate.
Oh, dear.
You'll have to go down to Leamington and win the pairs, the fours, and then invade the pitch in the singles final and take that and all.
I feel like I've wasted 30 odd years of my career.
But no, well done to Jason and Emily. That's obviously great achievement. The Glasgow Commonwealth Games countdown is now just down to 11 months. Opening ceremony on the 23rd of July, 2026. Bowls is the only one of the 10 selected sports to feature across all 10 days, mate. And Bowls England have recently announced the long list. Why they call it the long list of players for phase 1 of the assessment process. 4 men, 6 women, and of course the physically disabled have been announced as well, the B6 to B8 and the visually impaired B2 to B3. Now I've picked my 3 out. You'll not even know who's on the list, I bet.
Yeah, I did have a brief look, man. I was probably who I expected to be on there, and one who I believe should be on there, and he was, which I was happy to see because I think he's.
I think we might have picked the same 3 here because out of the 4 men, I've gone for Sammy, Jamie, and Dominic McVitie.
Yeah, I think Dominic's an absolute class act. Like I really do. I think he's a great player. So and again, do we know whether it's 2 or 3 being selected yet? Pairs and singles. So you don't know whether it's going to be 2 singles in a pair or 2 separate.
I'd be surprised if they don't pick 3.
It's wide open again, Richie. To be honest with you, you've got Nikki on that list again, who was gold medalist last time.
The women's list: Annalicia, Sean, Emily, Amy Farrow, Catherine Rednell, and Nicole Rogers. I've picked Catherine. Amy's a funny one because with it being indoors, she doesn't really play much indoors, I don't think. She might, I don't know. But because Bowls England are picking it, that might swing it with our record. And I'd love to see Emily get a crack at it as well. She's the one on the up and up at the minute. But I think the women's is a harder one.
It is. I think it's a wide open one, that one. Yeah, it'll be interesting. It's we've talked about, I was down at a meeting with Bowls England, and there's going to be a lot of, from our point of view, from the development side, we're obviously going to hopefully do a bit of work in the build-up of the Commonwealth Games in this country. And last time it was in Leamington, we did a lot of work around the country with Commonwealth Games activators. Mally Johnson, our own Mally Johnson was one. Chris Hollinshead, who then eventually became a development officer for the BDA before leaving, he was an activator. So, there's things hopefully that we can do to get the sport out there for the Commonwealth Games. And then, I think the big thing following that is to lead up to the World Championships following that as well. We've got the World Championships at Leamington after that. So for the British Isles, you've got 2 huge years coming up as far as bowls is concerned. And if we can, over that 2 years, get more exposure, more encouragement to get on the bowls greens, to try bowls, etc., then we probably never will, to be fair.
Yeah, but it's like curling. When curling appear in the Winter Olympics and on the BBC, it's like their 15-minute window to get more people into the sport. And every time you saw the curling was on, did you see the curling? Did you see the curling? Did you see the curling? So hopefully bowls can do that.
Yeah, because there's loads of people out there who's probably never picked a ball up before, and you talk to them and say they love watching the World Bowls of January. They always switch it on the telly, but they've never tried it before, blah, blah, blah. And it's just, for me, it's hopefully they will, and it'll not be the usual BBC, given what our class is sometimes very poor and uneducated coverage. Whenever they do reports, You know what I mean? They don't tend to focus on what the sport actually is. They focus on what they believe the sport is, if that makes sense. And it doesn't always do great things for the perception, but I don't think they can particularly avoid it with whoever gets picked for the Commonwealth Games, because they're all young players.
All young whippersnappers.
And I just hope it gets really, really good coverage. Again, I see the improvements in the sport all the time, and I do think we're in a good place. I think there's a lot of people who want to try it and are starting to try it, and when they do try it, they love it. That's all we want.
I think what you said from day one on the podcast, mate. You've just got to get the hook into somebody, and they'll come back. That's all you've got to do. You've said it from day one, mate. And I've run with it for 62 shows, and people saying if he says the hook again, I'm going to knock him out. He'll get my right hook. Never mind. Right, as it's August, obviously it's National Championships time of year around the UK. Big shout out to Bowls Scotland for their recent championships at Ayr. Over recent years, it's fair to say they've took some hammer, but fair play to them for putting the streaming on every day, which I caught quite a bit of it. And I haven't really seen a great deal of negative feedback on the championships. And a big congrats to Ian McLean for a fourth career national singles title. Great stuff from Ian. Obviously, back down south, it's Leamington. When Leamington starts, I call it the opening day of the grouse season, because it's let's take aim at Bowls England. Load, fire, pull. There's obviously been an issue with the car park and prices, but I'm not going to go really into that a great deal. There's always questions about the ticket prices. Now, we've done a bit of research, mate, I have this time. We're going to shoot everybody down here. Bowls England tickets range from $5.50 to $9.50, or you can get £85 for all 18 days. And you can be there from 8 o'clock until they kick you out. Kids, £2 to £4. One thing I'll say with Bowls Scotland's tickets is £7, £50 for all 8 days. The one I like about Bowls Scotland, and hopefully Bowls England might pick up on it, under 16s get in free with a paying adult, which I think is a good idea. But So you're looking at $9.50 for a maximum for a Bowls England ticket. Now, the recent British Open at Portrush, £100 to £130 a day. Youth was 50 to 65. Wimbledon, ground pass, £30. If you wanted to watch the centre court final, £315. Cricket, the 100, £24 for an adult, £5 for 3 to 15s. Formula One, £350 to £500 for a 3-day admission, granted. Your favourite, mate, snooker at the Crucible. Standard ticket, £45, going up to £155. You can go on and on and on. Hartlepool Football Club, £22. Under 11s, £11. Commonwealth Games last 2022 at Birmingham, £15. Under 16s here. PDC darts, £50. Now, for people to say that $9.50 is over the top for a national championships, where all the money does go back into the sport. I know the championships they raked in 171,000 last year. They paid out 198, so they made a loss.
It doesn't. All of the staff go to Barbados. You know this.
Well, we know they go to Barbados. Whoa, the smell of ombre solaire when I stand next to John Cockcroft is amazing. I mean, I read the post about them going on holiday, and I'm going, really, really, where do people, what do they think when they type these things?
Do you know the simple answer is, mate? Because it's Bowls. And that is pure. Do you know what it is? People twist and moan about that. Now, I saw a picture of Leamington the other day, and I said the same last year when everybody was having the whinge about blah, 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 and the place was rammed. So again, it's a minority, right? So we know it's the minority. We talk about this a lot. However, people will pay £50 to £100 to go and watch events that are being competed by people who are multi-millionaires, and they will happily go and pay an absolute fortune to go and watch people who don't need the money, the support, whatever it is. And then it comes to Bowls, and because it's Bowls, Christ, £350 still too expensive for a set of balls that you can have for 10 years and sell for £200 later down.
Yeah.
But honestly, it batters me brains. I went to the seafront to go to the beach with the bairns during the holidays. £4 an hour or £10 for the day. Parking, £10 for the day. It's a no-brainer. £10 for the day at Bowls. Oh my God. Going in and watching a national event with loads of top-class bowlers for £10 parking, that's absolutely disgusting. I mean, Christ almighty, give me a break. It's like I'm reading it and I'm reading all of the comments. The one I don't get, but again, this is council rules, is the blue badge.
Yeah, it's a bad look.
Just about can sort of grasp that, but I also know this applies in a lot of other places now as well. Blue badges do not get free parking. And again, it's like we use this phrase all of the time about how bowlers will twist and moan about the fact that the green fees have gone up to £2.50 for 2 hours activity. And then they'll walk down the road and pay £3.95 for a coffee. We use this in development all the time. And we talk to clubs and say, stop undervaluing the sport, because that's all you constantly do. When you're undervaluing, because as soon as you're charging £2, people expect £2. And they want everything for nothing. Whereas if gradually things started to get to a level, look, we don't want to be taking people money out. We know things is tight. I can't afford a lot of things. That's concern. I couldn't afford it if it went up to £6, £7, £8 to go on for your green fees. I'll probably play once a week, twice a week if I was lucky. But we're talking about the pinnacle event of our calendar and an outdoor season in our country. 18 days of seeing the best players from across the country who would absolutely love the support, the noise and the atmosphere and everything that goes about being part of those national championships is what makes the event. And we don't get money for it. Crikey, if we did it for the money, everybody would have packed in by now. But we don't. We do it because national titles still hold a lot of meaning to a lot of people. And even just qualifying and being part of that event is a massive thing for a lot of people, because having multi-people around the green watching balls is alien to a lot of people. It can be quite, for those who qualify on a regular basis, it becomes part of the norm. But all of these people are whinging and saying, it's disgusting, blah, blah, I'm not going to go. But then you see them in the park, you get down there and you've just been on Facebook twisting and moaning about it, and now you're standing here. And it's like, for God's sake, man. Honestly, I would swear and swear and swear if it wasn't a pleasant show, this one.
Family show.
Christ, honestly, man, it's like, for Christ's sake. And I say to you all the time, how many times do I come up to you and say, Richie, I was close again? I'm twitching. I'm literally, I want to take myself away from it all.
Aye.
And I didn't want to be a part of Facebook anymore because I detest it. Aye. I'm on it because of my job, because of the podcast.
Yeah.
If it wasn't for anything like that, I do very little on a personal basis on there now. I'm like a dog taking a crop in the corner, because I'm shaking and I'm wanting to respond, and I want to say, why don't you just get a life and shut that up? Oh, man,
and that was the Davy Bowles Catherine wheel.
It grinds the crap out of us, honestly.
I know.
The sad thing is, I feel as if all I do at times on this podcast now is we talk about these things because they're relevant in the sport, and it's what we're saying on a regular basis. But it's like, how many times do we talk about really positive things that haven't got a negative spin on them in the sport? Yeah. Always the same. It's awful, honestly, and it drags me down. This is for me why I'm at the point of I just pick and choose what I want to do now, and I get away from it all, because you hear so much politics, so much crap all the time, and it's like, I just can't be done with all this.
One thing, I might be whinging here, but one thing I'll still pick Bowls England up, so it's not a love-in, is no prize money in 26 of the 40 events. That's still, I think it looks bad. They're giving out £5,500 to losing semi-finalists. I think even if you give the winner £200 in the individual ones, then you're not leaving yourself open. But that's just my I don't know. I just didn't think it looks right, mate.
Yeah, and like I say, I honestly don't know the reasons for it. And like you're saying there, you don't want it to be a loving. And one thing we've done from day one, mate, is yes, I've got to be very careful with what I can say and what I can't say, because at the end of the day, I've got an opinion like a bowler like anybody else, but I've also got a professional position that doesn't allow me to necessarily provide.
Agree with us, yes.
I am very open, and I will look at things and say, right, there must be reasons for things like that. There might, and I'm sure there's a reason for that happening as well. I mean, it's like, there's expenses. There's no expenses now for qualifying.
Which I didn't have a problem with.
It was 20-30 quid, and it would help towards a hotel. But pretty in these days now, it's like that's by the by. I don't know. I really genuinely don't know what the situation is with the prize money, why that's happened. But like I say, what I was sort of saying there is, it isn't always necessarily a love to governing bodies, and we're not always supporting decisions that's been made, and trying to kiss the backsides of those who run the sport. It's just we have a professional outlook that basically says that decisions have to be made, and unfortunately there ain't a great deal of money in this sport. And when it boils down to it, there ain't a great deal of money in this sport because of those who participate in the sport, and that's what it boils down to. When you're twisting and moaning about paying £10 for parking, then there's an issue with the sport, because If you go to a concert, if you go to a football match, I've just seen Sunderland Football Club now, all their parking around the stadium now, that's gone up to 10 quid. You've got to pay 10 quid just to go to the match. And that's only for 90 minutes, 2 hours max for the time that you're potentially there. That's the way of the world now. And we've got to be in that way of the world. And unfortunately, we can't counteract that by offering thousands and thousands of pounds of money to compensate for winners' money, because the money isn't there. And that's because of the history of the sport, because people still twist and moan about paying £2.50. And until that stops, and until people start to understand that the darts, the snooker, the formula, all of those sports that you've just talked about now, the reason they've got hundreds and hundreds of thousands to throw at players is because they're charging 50 to 100 quid a ticket.
That's right.
All of those people just on centre court alone, they're probably dragging in 10, 20,000 quid just for a day.
Well, I always said, especially in the North East, we've had balls on the cheap for too many years. And unfortunately, in the North East, we are accustomed to playing cheap balls. And when you put something up for 50 pence, a pound or whatever, oh my God, burn your bra, run in front of a Shetland pony.
But half the comments is coming from down south. You can't buy a fish and chips for less than 25 quid down there, man. Christ.
I know.
You gone down there, I feel like I've been blooming robbed.
Dick Turpin, get the mask on.
How much? I was only buying one drink, pal, not the bar.
Keep the glasses.
I remember when we were away for the European Championships, we were sitting around the table having lunch. I think it was Kirk, England manager, was talking, and he was talking about how much he just paid for his tyres on his car. I went, I didn't pay that much for a car in the North East.
That's a mortgage.
Jesus.
Obviously, we've done very little outdoor streaming this season, but we've got plenty of streaming coming up. The Rickshaw heading to Easterleek next month for the latter stages of Jason's GB UK family pairs. We hope the weather's a little bit kinder than last year when we nearly electrocuted each other. Speaking of Mr. Parkinson, you kind knock him down as he's trialling a Premier League competition based around the Australian BPL. 16 teams of 3 players at 2 venues in 2026 at St Neots and Glasgow, which, touch wood, were both streaming. From the initial feedback, the response has been good, so keep your eyes on how that develops, mate. I think the fact that you can enter from a club has probably got the better response.
Yeah, and I think, like I say, I think it's a great opportunity. And I might be wrong. I think it'll be a case of the entries will go whether people like it or whether they don't. This is a showcase competition, and it's not going to be a jumble of 3 bowlers who just say, "Oh, we'll have a bash at this."
50 quid in each.
No, exactly. Let's just have a bash. I think for me, like Australia, this has got to be the best of what you see on a bowl screen, and that's probably the exposure that this level of competition needs. Like I say, I don't mean that in any detriment to your club bowlers out there, but it's called the Premier League for a reason. It's clues in the title. So I think you'll probably see that the qualifiers will be packed with your 3 top bowlers from each of the clubs, and it's not just a case of you can players from here, there, and everywhere. It's based on club teams. And
well, hopefully it'll be successful. I mean, I know he said the response has been very good, and hopefully it can be expanded into something a lot bigger, and hopefully going forward, it's another feather in the cap to the sport, mate.
Well, it is, and this is touching on what we talked about earlier on. All of these big things that are starting to happen now, possibly making a few little waves in the sporting world, to start to see that the sport's like on the up, and bigger things are happening. And if that is the case, then who knows? That's the next step down the line could be a Barry Hearn type figure who comes in and actually sees huge potential in a sport that people love to watch, and that's inside the sport and outside the sport. We see just on the stream alone how many thousands of views we get.
Yeah.
You maximize that into the potential of what you can do on a commercial level, and it becomes a huge fish. Time will tell. I do hope it's a success. I think it's like you say, you can't knock him. He's trying his best. And I know the response has been good, so hopefully it'll take off and it'll be the step in the right direction.
Well, folks, that's it. It's short, sharp episode. Get that in right. We're going to try and produce a few different things over the next 12 months regarding the streaming. We're going to try maybe it's like an overlap type thing that you've seen that's been done in the Premier League, and we'll get a few around the table with a few wagon wheels and curly whirlies and what have you. We'll sit down and stream that and get a few interviews going. But that's it. Thank you very much, everybody. I hope you enjoyed it, and we will be back next couple of months. Thanks as always for your support.
Thank you for listening and hope you've enjoyed the show.
This has been a Dodgy production.